go! Let's go! Woohoo!
Pixel Chix are such a specific example of a toy that can never be replicated today or again. What I'd like to talk about today are Pixel Chix, and I've recently started to rebuild a little collection. Pixel Chix is such a specific example of something that was not only unique at the time, but would be incredibly hard, if not impossible, to ever recreate again. This house was one of my first introductions to the world of Pixel Chix. This purple house was my first introduction to the little girl-focused digital life. Loved the website everythinggirl.com and found out about Pixel Chix through that, and then I got this for my birthday. And I generally don't think that toys like this can exist in the same way today. Pretty much all of mine got lost over time, which is very fitting for the brand actually, because Pixel Chix as a whole just dissipated from public consciousness. I've recently found some of my sisters and I've rebuilt a small collection of some that I used to own and a couple of new things that I haven't owned before. So what I do have now is, pretty sure it's a limited edition cottage bungalow, the first release, the single story bungalow house. Two double story houses. Two of the different malls that were released. One of the babysitting houses. 4 cars. The hamster from the Pet series. And the TV. Revisiting them did feel quite weird, as they are so small and so simple, but when I was a kid they felt massive and kept me entertained and invested for so long. Over time, after the nurturing level would go up, you would unlock more things that you could do with her. So there were 5 different stages, and if you failed to neglect her, she would get angry and leave. Pixel Chix was such a staple for mid-2000s girl toys and the rise in electronic toys at that time also. And I don't think a lot of people really talk about how specific that era was. Pixel Chix didn't randomly just happen. She came from that era right after the popularity of digital pets exploded and were from an amalgamation of different influences. There are so many examples you can point to that helped bring Pixel Chix to life. Some notable ones that I'd like to say were ones such as Tamagotchis, as they were both controlled by a couple of buttons told to walk, eat and sleep. They both had nurturing levels of happiness or neglect, and Tamagotchis proved that kids could emotionally bond with something that was 2D and pixelated. Tamagotchis proved that kids were able to emotionally bond with them pixels, but Pixel Chix took this further and in a different direction. Instead of raising a pet, you were watching a girl live out her everyday life and routines. She would directly talk to you, tell you if she was happy or unhappy, with absolutely no filter, and you could help choose how she went about her day. The progression system was different than in Tamagotchis. Instead of seeing them grow from birth until death and then restarting and not knowing who you're going to get, you only had a choice between 3 different Pixel Chix girls. Instead of seeing them grow from birth until death, you would unlock more things to do, and through negligence she would become angry and leave. And definitely a component which probably helps as to why I enjoyed it a lot was the Sims influence. It honestly, to me at the time, felt sort of like a mini life simulation. Simplified and, of course, not as complex. It was pink, stylish and marketed to girls and designed for kids who also loved dolls, setting scenes and scenarios, whether at work, home, travelling through rituals and routines. And then there's the mall. This is peak 2000s to me. The early 2000s culture was absolutely obsessed with the idea of teenage independence, the mall, getting your first job, earning money, shopping, dating, getting a car, and so much more in regards to building independence. Mattel reflected this idea on their everything.com website, which linked all their IPs together through advertising Pixel Chix to girls who loved Barbie and other brands. Even dolls like My Scene were mainly conceptualized and built around fashion and mall culture in the early to mid 2000s, where a lot of their doll concepts and games were based around this alone. Pixel Chix turned into a tiny digital simulation. Your character could work, earn money, and go shopping. It was basically to introduce you to teenage life before you even became a teenager. Why was it so unique? I think what makes Pixel Chix really special and unique is that it sat in this really weird space between dolls and video games, at least for me anyway. It was physical, you held the house, and you could see inside the 3D furniture in fixed place. A screen with pixel grayscale, but inside, when it was lit up or screen flipped, it was a 2D pixel girl in a 3D world. And you didn't fully have autonomy and control over her. You influenced her and just watched her. She had routines, she reacted, she moved around on her own and could also interact with others. You could connect two Pixel Chix houses by conjoining the slots together. They would call one another and visit each other, showing the player new interactions to be seen. It also felt private. It wasn't loud or competitive, just totally casual and approachable. It was just this tiny world happening whilst also being portable. The mall had a handle and was even in the shape of a purse. Pixel Chix usually require AAA batteries, about 4, and usually 3 for a car. So unfortunately, if left like a lot I have, they can leak, and the acid from the batteries damages them. So because of that, I only have a few models that are fully functional, and it's something to keep in mind on if you're ever interested in them. So I can't show every model that I own, as only a few are fully functional. Pixel Chix can unlock more new options, including new food, fashions, games, by playing regularly to increase the nurture value and progress through the 5 levels of play. Higher levels are reached faster through consistent interactions, whilst neglecting the character causes her to lose items or leave, requiring you to press the small button and reset the game, or just take out their batteries. So I'd like to go through all the Pixel Chix models. The first model was released in 2005 and the last model between 2008/9. These dates definitely reflect a change in time between then. There are 3 different Pixel girls introduced, all voiced by Tara Strong, who's voiced a lot of animated characters. The single story house, cottage, bungalow, whatever you'd like to call it, was the first house that Pixel Chix ever released in 2005, and it is probably the most simple and grounded version of Pixel Chix. Mine unfortunately does not work because some battery acid damage in one of the slots, which is a shame. This one's a very pretty design. I think the sparkly ones are limited edition. The bungalow is simple, it's easy to use, it introduces all the core mechanics. She would go upstairs and it would light up and have sound effects, so you wouldn't be able to see. It left that ambiguity. There was something really charming about how basic this first house model was. After the bungalow, also in 2005, was the road tripping vehicle. These cars, again in the cute little beetle form, was such a 2000s addition. It made everything feel more teen and aspirational. Getting your first car and getting that driving independence for the first time. The little clip it would include made it feel quite portable. These cars weren't necessary, but it made it feel expandable. The options were quite limited. Play 5-second music sounds in pretty questionable quality on a loop. Drive to different locations and pull down the window with a dog in the back seat as your driving companion.
Hello.
The double-storey houses, which came out in 2006, felt like an upgraded version of the bungalow. Instead of her going upstairs and you being left to your imagination as to what she was getting up to, you could now flip the screen and be able to go to her bedroom, and you weren't limited to just one singular room. There was more space, more movement, and more variety of things you were able to do. It made the world feel bigger, even though it was still just pixels. The Love to Shop mall, also from 2006, honestly felt like one of the more iconic ones to me. It leans fully into that aspirational girl culture.
Help me find a matching outfit. Fabulous. Should I buy this?
You can play games relating to the shop you're in.
I want a soda now.
Earn money, work,
Can I try the fun? Sure thing. Right this way. $20, please.
It felt like, again, another expansion and departure from just being at home. There was more activities and more personality within this. You pretty much were able to work. You had a box that would approve or disapprove of your current working position, and you could earn money to buy things.
$20, please. Thank you.
Though sometimes for such a big concept, some of the animations and the things that you could do felt quite limiting for such a big concept that they were going for. But overall, I would say it is a really, really, really good addition. The Roomies Hotel from 2007 came with one of the roommates, Miss Sporty. You were given the ability to have roommates where you could watch them and interact and collect more to end up having a full house. The way you could flip the screens was also a pretty new concept, and that's one thing I really do like about Pixel Chix. I feel like every new iteration was quite innovative and they came up with something new technology-wise that hadn't really ever been seen before. All the roommate friends included Miss Sporty, Diva Queen, Punk Rocker, Super Smarty, and DJ Hip Hop. You could watch all the roommates have different interactions with living with one another, and it was just a really fun and, again, new expansion to the Pixel Chix world. Babysitter from 2007 is an interesting one because it introduces responsibility. It's like the first job fantasy. It kind of mirrors that idea of early independence once again. It offers a lot of interactions and animations with the baby that you're babysitting. I personally really love the house design, and it has the baby monitor, so when you need to be in a certain room it will stay red and lit up until you turn the tree and end up in the room that it's giving you the attention to go in. Again, the motifs and the detail on the tree itself that you could flip over is also very innovative. I love when they do this. As you can see, the different rooms, the downstairs, the nursery, bathroom, and kitchen were all designed so well.
Oh, great.
You could again connect them to the other houses and get more unique animations. The Secret Life of Pets, Rockin' Puppy House, and Jammin' Hamster House from 2007. Each toy could be flipped upside down to change the mode of the whole game for these animals to become rockers. I own the hamster, which feels very full circle, as this is what Pixel Chix were first based upon. And I think them introducing this but with a twist of them being able to become rock stars is really cool. It was unique as each button was dual-sided, and upon flipping the backdrop you could change what interactions you could do with them, from being a normal animal that you cared and looked after to being able to play guitar and being a rock star. The Pixel Chix TV, introduced in 2008, had 3 different kinds: the Fashion Network set, the Pet Planet set, and the Travel World set. This one that I have here is the Pet Planet set. It was very simple. You could flip the channel and only connect with the other models together as they have a different pinhole. But I think the TV is such a cute design. That is one thing of Pixel Chix. The designs are always just so top tier and so pleasing to look at. You never really get to see anything like it. I, however, as much as I love this design, I prefer when they have the 3D furniture dioramas that you can put a screen over. That's just me personally. I like that being the backdrop because it just integrates the idea of the whole 2D on top of a 3D world, which is Pixel Chix's core premise after all. Fab Life, released in 2008, was the last release from Mattel of Pixel Chix, and it doubled as a piggy bank. It's hard to find out much about this release. I think it was quite limited in the countries that it was released to. I don't remember it coming out in the UK at all or seeing it advertised anywhere. I did not know this existed. It's really hard to find it on sale online. The objective is to earn money go shopping and explore around town. Games are played to win electronic money and prizes and can be used by purchasing items at the mall, like the previously released game. The games are grayed out until you can unlock them. According to the manual, there are over 50 games and activities that you can later unlock through playing the game. Not an official digital toy release, but still a release that came out in 2007 that unlock its charm. These charms were a miniature version of all the Pixel models, pretty much except for the hotel. A miniature version of it with a secret code that you could unlock surprises with on the Pixel Chix website, so it influenced girls to go onto the website. Also in 2008/9, they had a McDonald's Happy Meal toy released in Australia, France, Portugal and New Zealand. This included a pink car game, a purple babysitting game, orange shopping game and a blue pet shop game. The blue variant only released in certain countries, so it makes it a lot more harder to find than the other ones. It was obviously a lot more limited and simplified, reflecting many of McDonald's other electronic toys that they released at the time with Happy Meals. And it reminds me of the Sonic one that I remember getting. I don't think Pixel Chix failed because it was a bad idea. It was an absolutely amazing concept. So innovative, and we won't get anything quite like it again. And despite all the new ideas and expansions, it wasn't really sustainable long term. Whether you take into account this was around the time the financial crash happened in 2008 and a lot of companies did stop some of their more experimentational IPs to save money. That could be a factor. There are so many things at play as to why it never really got to flourish and continue on the way it did. Mattel obviously didn't see it as very feasible. I just think it existed at a very specific time where the idea of tech being part of our lives before actually having the access to instant internet convenience. It's a bridge between dolls and phones, and once phones arrived, that bridge wasn't needed anymore. Rebuilding my Pixel Chix collection feels less like collecting a toy and more like connecting to a very specific era in time. It reminds me of when the digital age still felt magical. Everything was more simple in a way, when your entire world could fit into something so small. And honestly, I'm really glad that I found them again.